managers so that the lessons of sales training is reinforced, supported, and applied. So it's a question of how do you teach sales to executives in a nonprofit. I think the most important thing for nonprofit executives in terms of sales is for them to get over this idea that sales is about slick dudes in plaid sport coats who are selling you lemons in a crappy used car lot. Sales is very much different from that, and every nonprofit executive is in the sales business, and they are trying to convince, persuade, cajole a whole variety of constituents. They have to sell to their board. They have to sell to their members. They have to sell to their constituents. They have to sell to their vendors to the extent that they have them. And so what I would do first for executives and nonprofits is just try to get them over this hump that sales is a nasty, down and dirty enterprise for other people. It's not. It's changed remarkably over the last 10 years. And so get over this notion that sales is slimy. The second thing is get over this notion that some of us that it's only for naturals. That's not the case. You can learn some of these very basic skills. And the third thing that I would say is to start small. Get people a little bit more comfortable in a fundraising environment. Help them change their behavior just a little bit in terms of, say, getting better at pitching a new idea to their staff, and concentrate on small wins and incremental improvement rather than turning somebody who became an executive at a nonprofit because they wanted to do good for the world. You're not going to turn that person immediately into a crazy Eddie type seller, but you can help that person get a little bit better, and they're going to end up being pretty good at it. Let's see. Well, we got a lot of people asking questions about the book, the new book. Let me just see here. What advice? We got so many questions here. From Bob in Brooklyn. What advice do you have for people choosing a college major now? It's a really interesting question. What advice do you have for people choosing a college major now? This is interesting because there's been one of the things that kind of irks me is this. There's a lot of information published about the starting salaries for people's majors. So someone who starts out with a major in, say, petroleum engineering, not surprisingly, earns more than someone who is graduating with a degree in philosophy. Okay, and so what the commentators tend to distill from that is, well, everybody should major in petroleum engineering. When in fact that's actually a very misleading metric in many, many ways. It's that metric of earnings upon graduation, or earnings even a few years upon graduation, is very misleading on a whole range of things. Number one, it doesn't take into account anything related to lifetime earning power. There is some evidence showing that what you earn early can be somewhat of a predictor for what you earn over time, but not necessarily. And so it doesn't give us any sense of what the long-term earning prospect is. The second thing is that it doesn't tell us that someone who majors in English, who loves English and wants to be an English teacher, is going to earn less than someone who majors in petroleum engineering. And I'm not sure that's necessarily a bad thing. When you have someone who's going into teaching, someone who affirmatively chooses a profession that earns less money. So those dollar figures on college major graduations are very misleading. So my best advice is to major in something you're interested in. Major in something you care about. Major in something you enjoy. And if that's petroleum engineering, God bless you. If that is linguistic anthropology, God bless you. That people who study stuff they're really interested in, who do things that because of their fundamental value rather than their instrumental value, they're fine overall. And so I think that's it. The small tactical bit that I would give you, though, is to think multidisciplinary. One of the very interesting things that's going on right now that I think young people are contending with is this. You see an incredible rise in this country in double majors, and you see actually a really spectacular rise also in self-created majors. Why? Because the majors in universities, the categories in universities, don't necessarily map to the categories in the rest of the world. So young people are saying, whoa, wait a second. The fact that university departments are organized in precisely the same way, or at least largely the same way they were 100 years ago, isn't really relevant to my life. So let's say I'm interested in biology or I'm interested in genetics. Well, there are going to be a lot of ethical issues there. So maybe I should double major in biology and philosophy. Or maybe I should create my own major called bioethics. So my advice on that is think multidisciplinary, do what you're interested in, and work your butt off. Because, truth be told, by the time unless you're an emerging adult, by the time you're 25, no one cares what you majored in college. Scott Fenwick of Huntington, New York asks, has mobile and tablet sales increased and include reader options? What do you see happening with printed books? Well, that's a subject near and dear to my heart. I think that printed books are going to survive. I think it's still a really powerful medium. My hunch, and it's only a hunch, Scott, is that we're going to kind of see we're going to kind of see parity here. That is, maybe 50-50. When I look at my own sales right now, they're about lately, like for this last book. When I look at the early sales for this new book, they end up they're about 2-to-1 print to even now. So my guess is that they'll probably end up being 50-50, 50 electronic, 50 print. I think what's interesting and really unexploited right now is whether the emergence of these e-books actually creates a different medium. That is, right now, my e-books as well, they're basically text delivered on a different platform. They're text delivered to your tablet, text delivered to your phone, text delivered to your whatever kind of device you're using. And there have been some baby steps toward making these e-books more, I don't want to even say multimedia, just a different kind of medium. And I think it's been pretty good. I've read a couple of books that have done a good job of it. One of them was Kate Boo's book, Behind the Beautiful Forevers, where she wrote a book about this slum in India, and she actually had some videos of some of her characters. And it was really cool to be able to read the book. It's a gripping, wonderful book, but it's also cool to actually see the people, not only in photographs, but actually literally hear their voices. I think that was really cool. Del Quentin Weber wrote a really interesting book about the Reagan assassination. I don't remember the title of it, I'm sorry. And he had some primary documents in there too. So he had a video of Reagan